I don't think he's coming, I'm sure. Okay. On a very special day. And I'd like to be associated with all the tributes that were paid to the family this morning and the death of the late former great Deputy Jackie Haley. Thank you, Chairman. The statements on the Post-European Council 21st of June. And I welcome the opportunity to speak on the Post-European Council meeting of June 20th. We can see that the European Council agreed an agenda for the EU for the next 5 years, as is indicated in the document called a new strategic agenda 2019-2024. I wonder how they got around to agreeing this, especially with the backdrop of what is happening with our neighbours across the water and their, ongoing deliberations regarding to Brexit. This sets out on the priority areas that will steer the work of the European Council and provide guidance for the work programme of other EU institutions also. The strategic agenda focuses on 4 main pillar priorities, we're told. Our aim is protecting citizens and freedoms, and that is fine to write it down and have an ambition and a goal, strategic goal, but goodness knows we have huge issues with persecution of citizens, persecution and also relation to their freedoms, and we can see what's happening, and we have huge issues with persecution of Christians, and indeed some Muslims also, minorities. And the EU have been very absent. And this government has, and this Parliament has, and had any meaningful debate around that whole area, and we just seem to like to ignore it. When it's Christians, as I said, some Muslim minorities as well. So it's devastating, and it's totally remiss, I think, that they don't have a more proactive role on it, and it's totally remiss that we don't have even a debate on it here. The only real debate we had on here, Minister, was one Holy Thursday a couple of years ago when the Council allowed us to get a triple topical debate to discuss it on a very appropriate Holy Thursday evening. The second one, is developing a strong and vibrant economic base. And again, with the onset of Brexit and its challenges, that goal is lovely on paper and very admirable, but how are they going to achieve this with the uncertainty and the choppy waters that Britain's leaving the EU, which seems to be going to happen, probably at Halloween? How are they going to achieve this, that objective? As I said, and there's huge challenges, none more so than with our own membership and with our own agricultural economy. And now to add to that, we have the whole green dream. Since we woke up and found that we had to have all of a sudden knee-jerk reaction to climate change. And of course, who's blamed? The Irish farmers and the Irish rural dwellers. We're the vagabonds, we're the polluters. And nothing can be further from the case when many aspects of government, indeed the Department of Transport, and the diesel trains and diesel buses, and the downright refusal to even allow bus lanes to be created on the way into Dublin, to have ease of access. And the government and the Department and Minister Ross won't even countenance that. It's basic, obvious things that can be done as plain as the nose in your face. So. That's the creating then number 3, creating building a neutral green, fair and social Europe. God, put it backwards: fair and social and neutral and green. Sure, we're not neutral anymore, and we're being sucked into different. We've had different debates here in recent times as well. We're not neutral anymore, and who are we kidding? So we're getting rose-tinted glasses all together, and we look through how good we are. That we're neutral and we're green and fair. We're neither fair. And you think we're greenhorns, but we're not. But this whole, as I said, green agenda now has got to be dealt with holistically and fairly and equitably, and every sector should take its own responsibility. And Ivor Cahar, promoting European interests and the values on global chains. Well, you have to wonder what the interests are. When you see the Mercosur deal, when you see, and I met beef farmers this morning and suckler farmers, some from your own constituency actually, Chairman, and they are just facing a wipeout. And we have so-called 50 million from the EU, 100 million package, and backing up by 50 million for your government, Minister, and no one knows what the guidelines are. No one knows how we're going to get a penny of it. And is the dairymen who are overstocked, are they going to get part of it as well? And what is going to be left for a sector that was so vital to this economy, to rural villages and rural places? That is the livestock and the beef and the suckler herds. And there's total uncertainty. I mean, it's with a blaze of glory, after much pressure, Minister Creed announced it. But there's not a sign of how we're going to draw it down, and is it going to be accurate? And will it even, when it reaches farm gate, will it even give them the price to buy 2 new farm gates? Will they only have a couple of €100 each of it? It's just lovely on paper and lovely on glossy documents and PR and spin. Much of all these goals that I've said are pines, pillar pines, is perfectly fine in principle. But again, as I raised at the pre-council statement, we're going to need to see a far greater amount of detail, specifically when it comes to the building of so-called climate-neutral Europe, and I've referred to some of that already. As the agenda document itself outlines, the EU can and must lead the way in this by engaging in an in-depth transformation of its own economy and society to achieve climate neutrality. But it also goes on to say that this will have to be conducted in a way that takes account of national circumstances and that is socially just. Socially just. That is the key requirement of the strategy that must not be lost sight of, Minister. And there's not a lot of social justice coming from a lot of the policies that we have had here from Europe. And that's probably why we have a Brexit. We know that it is going to present us with significant challenges when it comes to agri-food sector in particular. I've referred to some already. When it comes to defence, the new strategic agenda 2019-24 that was agreed at the Council meeting makes it clear that the EU will, and I quote, need to take greater responsibility for its own security and defence, in particular by enhancing defence investment, capability development and operational readiness. It will cooperate closely with NATO in full respect of the principles set out in the treaties and by the European Council. End of quote. This is the kind of alarming talk that I just referred to earlier, Minister. I'm sure it must set off alarm bells in you too, that has caused controversy in the House with respect to our involvement with European militarisation and the threat to our neutrality, which I've already referred to. It's downright dangerous speak. It's downright very provocative, and it's downright very clear as the night gets dark, at daylight in the morning, to our government and our Taoiseach and our leader, our European ministers say, hold on a minute, we're part of the European movement, but we're a neutral country. We're all being sucked in down the road in a rush to be good Europeans and a rush to, by curry friendship with the Europeans in advance of Brexit. I do agree, however, with the strategic agenda emphasis on jobs. Yes, we do need a strong economic base, given that it is of key importance for Europe's competitiveness, prosperity and the role on the global stage. I also agree with the view that as technological security and sustainability challenges reshape the global landscape, we need to renew the basis for long-term sustainable growth and strengthen cohesion within the EU. The only part that concerns me in the Council statements is that his intention to ensure that we must deepen the economic and monetary union in all its dimensions, completing the banking and capital markets union and strengthening the international role of the euro. Again, this is something that we need to see a lot more detail on, given the potential that economic union has to disrupt the entire economies of smaller nations like ourselves. So we need much more detail on the likes of that, Minister. And the wording of it is quite bland, I suppose, but quite stark as well. That is the intention to ensure that we must deepen the economic and monetary union in all its dimensions, completing the banking and capital markets union and strengthening the international role of the euro. That should ring hollow with you, Minister, and indeed with your predecessors as well, as it does with me sticking my craw. When we needed a bailout, we got a total clean-out. When the IMF could give us money here for 2.9%, our so-called friends and colleagues in Europe charged us 6%, 5.96%, and we're still paying it back. And the bondholders were left off unscathed. And they're laughing all the way to the bank because not only had the bondholders and monies about it, but they had insurance policies that should have repaid those collapses, because they shoveled the money in here, the German and French banks in here, when we knew the Rome was burning and Ireland was burning and Dublin was facing economic meltdown. But where were our friends? They told us just to hump off, and they fleeced us. and are still fleecing us. So where's the cohesion and economic cohesion there? Where was the fairness and equity there? Where was the support in the Kayla of our sister countries and brother countries within the Union? Where was the support for Little Ireland in? It wasn't to be seen anywhere.
Moving on to a question and answer session.